Hello, and thank you for watching this presentation on the top 3 foods to balance hormones. I want to thank Strive Life Summit and everyone that's involved for putting all of this together. They really have put in a lot of hard work, and I am very, very honored to be a part of this. By way of introduction, I am Bradley Shepard. I am a doctor of chiropractic and certified functional medicine practitioner. I've been a chiropractor for over 15 years, and I was certified 3 or 4 years ago as a functional medicine practitioner. And so I'm very, very passionate about finding underlying causes to health problems and using nutrition as a natural healing process. I'm very, very passionate about all things natural healing. I think that's a great way to go. I don't want to discount, medical treatments either, because those are very, very important. But I like to focus on the natural and the nutrition aspect of healthcare and healing. No presentation would be complete without a disclaimer, so here is my disclaimer. This information that I'm presenting to you is for educational purposes only. It's not intended to be medical advice. The statements that I use in any of my presentations are not overseen by the FDA, so sometimes I'll recommend supplements in my presentations. I probably won't in this. But any claims made by any supplement company or otherwise have not been evaluated by the FDA. So the FDA does not oversee any sort of nutrition supplements. And so if we are talking about any sort of nutritional supplements, make sure that we understand that these aren't cleared by the FDA. I do want you to know that I do base all of my information that I present on actual research. And so I do have references at the end of the slideshow for those of you that like to kind of dig in a little bit more and actually look at the studies that I'm referencing here. But also I want you to know that I'm not making any of this stuff up. It's actually backed by research. And that kind of fits my philosophy that all treatments should be evidence-based. I mean, we should have some sort of process that shows that our treatment methods are effective. And again, it's always important for you to work with a qualified healthcare practitioner, a provider of some degree of some sort, in order to help you make good decisions based on your health and your history, and make sure that these treatment plans are really tailored to you as an individual. And since we're talking about hormones and the relationship of hormones to food and the relationship of hormones to pain and quality of life, it's important for us to define hormones. And depending on your background or education level, you may have various degrees of understanding of what hormones are. So in order to put us all on the same page, we're going to define the hormones as such. Hormones are chemical messengers that are transported through the blood that regulate body functions. So the hormones are produced and made by glands, and they're dumped into the bloodstream, and the bloodstream transports it to other organs and tissues where it will have some sort of an effect. Okay, so a hormone is basically a chemical that has an effect somewhere else in the body, and it has very specific effects. It's one of the ways that our body self-regulates. The other way that our body self-regulates is through the nervous system, which is comprised of our brain and spinal cord and all of the nerves. Okay, those use nerve impulses to kind of control things that happen in the body. And then the endocrine system uses hormones to have additional functional controls over the body. And in my practice, I focus primarily on 7 different hormones when I'm evaluating pain. And we're going to talk about what those 7 hormones are. So the 7 hormones that cause pain are thyroid hormones, cortisol, insulin, DHEA, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Now, some of these hormones you may have heard of. There may be one or two that you have not heard of, and that's okay. But these are the 7 hormones that I look at when I'm evaluating and trying to find underlying causes of pain, or sometimes these hormones might amplify or perpetuate this pain. But these are the 7 hormones that I look at. And as I mentioned before, as a chiropractor, I see a lot of musculoskeletal problems. And so I want to kind of connect the musculoskeletal problems that I see in my office to the hormones. And so the way it looks at, I look at this chart from right towards left. So, I see people that come in and they have headaches, or they have migraines, or they have pain in their neck, or they have muscle pain, or they have low back pain, or maybe they have some joint pain, maybe they have a neuropathy, or maybe they just have chronic fatigue, or maybe they're not sleeping very well. Maybe they have some depression. A lot of times those kind of coincide with chronic pain. And so what I want to do is I want to try to find the underlying cause of that pain. And one of that might be joint dysfunction or muscle dysfunction. But if those patients aren't responding to my regular treatments, then I know that there's something else going on. And a lot of times that's going to be a hormone imbalance. So they have some sort of imbalance between those 7 hormones that I look at. So we're going to talk about how the hormones are related to these pain conditions a little bit later. But again, we're looking at the thyroid, cortisol, insulin, DHEA, progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone to see if there's any imbalances, because those imbalanced hormones can cause musculoskeletal pain. So again, since we're trying to get to the underlying cause, my question is, okay, well, why do they have these hormone imbalances in the first place? Because if we can identify the underlying cause, then we don't necessarily have to, provide hormone replacement therapy, which again might help with the symptoms, but it doesn't get to the underlying cause. So why do we have these hormone imbalances in the first place? Well, a lot of times it's because we don't have the right nutrients. And so we need specific vitamins, we need specific minerals and amino acids and fatty acids in order to not only make the hormones, but also to help regulate the hormones or convert hormones from an inactive form to an active form. And so you probably know what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, okay, why do we have these nutrient imbalances in the first place? Well, a lot of times it's because we don't eat right. We don't eat the right foods. We can go on and on. Why don't we eat the right foods? Well, maybe we haven't been taught right. Maybe there can be so many. Maybe they're not available to us. There could be some other causes down the road, but you get the idea that we're always trying to ask, okay, why is this? Why is this? Why is this? And that will really lead us back to the root cause. And that's why functional medicine is so powerful, is because we're always trying to follow back to find the root cause. So as I mentioned before, here are a couple of examples of hormones and how they're related to pain. So, and how the nutrients are involved with making these hormones. So let's take a look at thyroid hormone. Okay. So first of all, in order to even make thyroid hormone, we have to have iodine, we have to have selenium, we have to have tyrosine, we need iron and vitamin D. And there's a few other things that we need to make the thyroid hormone. But if we are deficient in any of those nutrients, well, our body's not going to make thyroid stimulating hormone very well. And that's going to cause some problems down the line. That's going to cause hormone imbalances. And once we have those hormone imbalances, because the T4, which is the inactive form of thyroid, can't convert very well to T3, which is the active form. If we have those imbalances, then our bodies can lead to all sorts of pain syndromes. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the pain symptoms that can be caused by low thyroid, but you kind of get the idea. The second example that I look at is testosterone. Now, testosterone we primarily think as a male hormone, but it's very important for females too. Females make testosterone, and they use testosterone in smaller amounts than males. But some of the testosterone is actually used to make the estrogens. And so testosterone is very important for females too. And one of the things, well, thyroid needs, sorry, the the testosterone needs a couple of different things. It needs magnesium and it needs zinc in order to make testosterone. So if we're deficient in any of those nutrients, then we're not going to be able to make testosterone very well. And if we don't make testosterone very well, that's going to throw off the hormone imbalance. And we specifically need testosterone for, strength and vitality, for muscle mass. And so we'll start to see some of these things. And once those sorts of things start to diminish, then we start developing chronic pain again. And so again, we're always looking towards the underlying cause. So if you're having pain, it could be one of these two different hormones, and we might have different, we might have nutrient deficiencies, so we can't make these hormones, and then you end up in a chiropractor's office or some other doctor's office. Okay, so those are just a couple of examples of hormones that I look at. So now let's look at 4 different pain conditions that can be caused, amplified, or perpetuated by hormone imbalances. The first one is low back pain. Low back pain is so common, about 80% of the population will have low back pain at some time in their lives. And there's a certain hormone and nutrient deficiencies that can lead to low back pain. And let's talk about that. So first of all, vitamin B12 in a study has shown to alleviate mechanical low back pain. Mechanical low back pain is that low back pain where we just don't know what it is. So that's what we call it. We call it mechanical low back pain. We don't know why it's caused, but vitamin B12 can help alleviate mechanical low back pain. In another study, magnesium was shown to reduce the intensity of pain. And interestingly enough, it can improve the mobility of the lumbar spine, the lower back, and especially when there's a neuropathic component. So we're talking about low back pain and sciatica. If you've ever had sciatica, you know what I'm talking about. And magnesium has been shown to reduce the pain and improve the mobility, which is very, very interesting. Another study showed that estrogen deficiency can exacerbate or make worse intervertebral disc degeneration. And so we don't always, a lot of times we think of disc degeneration as simply wear and tear, but it appears that there might be an estrogen component to that as well. And chronic low back pain appears to be associated with low cortisol secretion. So cortisol is made in the adrenal glands. It's the stress hormone. So I find that a lot of people that are very, very stressed for a long, long time, they start to deplete the cortisol, and their adrenal glands just can't keep up because the stress is so constant. And that's when I start to see a lot of the chronic pain symptoms occur as well. So if we can help regulate the adrenal glands to help it secrete more cortisol, then that chronic pain can diminish. And the second pain condition that we're going to talk about are migraines and headaches. Now, migraines and headaches, they are different. And in fact, there are many different types of headaches. One type of headache is a migraine, but there are also other types of headaches. And these migraines and headaches can have many different causes. And so let's talk about these for a couple of minutes. So some of the nutrients and hormone imbalances that are associated with migraines is thyroid hormones. There's been studies that show low thyroid hormone levels are linked to migraine headaches. In addition, fluctuations between estrogen and progesterone can also cause migraines. Now, these type of migraines are typically the type of migraines that come on a cyclical basis, about once a month. And if you're having those migraine headaches about once a month, there's a good chance that there's an imbalance between the estrogen and progesterone and that hormone cycle for females. Also, cortisol and DHEA hormone ratios, they have to be in the right ratio. And if they're out of that that optimal ratio, then we see that the perception of pain and migraine headaches increases, meaning that the migraines can seem like they're worse than they are, or maybe worse than some of your peers that also have migraines. And so that's something for us to think about as well. In another study, the magnesium supplementation can help alleviate the frequency and severity, or the intensity, of migraine headaches. So that was a very interesting study. Also, B12 and folic acids are associated with these migraines as well. So again, a lot of different causes or potential causes for migraines and other types of headaches. Another pain condition is neuropathy. Now, neuropathy is usually associated with burning, numbness, or tingling in the arms, legs, hands, or feet. And neuropathies can also be caused, or at least are amplified or contributed by hormone and nutrient imbalances. For example, thyroid hormone imbalance can cause peripheral neuropathy. Now, peripheral neuropathy is anything that happens outside of the spinal cord, so arms, legs, hands, feet. So if there's a thyroid problem going on, a lot of times there's going to be an associated neuropathy. Now, estrogen and progesterone hormones are also involved in carpal tunnel. It can cause or contribute to the carpal tunnel. And so a lot of times we think of carpal tunnel as there's a nerve that goes through your wrist. And a lot of times we think that it's the compression of that nerve that causes carpal tunnel. And that might be one of the contributing factors. But we also, I've seen it in practice that some patients go and they get the carpal tunnel surgery and it didn't help. And so in those cases, we can be pretty sure that there's an additional hormone component, or maybe there's a nutritional component to that. For example, another study, I don't have this study cited here, unfortunately, but B6 can alleviate carpal tunnel syndrome symptoms as well. And vitamin B12 has been shown to alleviate diabetic neuropathy. So if you have diabetes, you have the neuropathy associated with diabetes, B12 can help that. Now, I have another hypothesis as far as that goes, because a lot of people with diabetes are also on diabetes medications. Now, the diabetes itself can contribute to the neuropathy, but the medications can also contribute to the neuropathy because the medications deplete vitamin B12, vitamin B6, and folate. And so if we're depleting those nutrients, and those nutrients can help alleviate that neuropathy, then we kind of have this double whammy going on. Now, I'd love to see more studies on that myself, but there's my 2 cents on that matter. The last painful condition that we're going to talk about is arthritis. Now, there's a lot of different types of arthritis as well. And a lot of us, we tend to think of arthritis as either getting old or wear and tear. And that certainly is one type of arthritis. But there are other types of arthritis as well. Like there's the rheumatoid arthritis, which is more of an autoimmune type of arthritis. We have gouty arthritis, which involves uric acid crystals that crystallize into the joint. And then, of course, the wear and tear arthritis. Excuse me. And so we're going to talk a little bit about arthritis and how hormones can affect this condition. Now, testosterone and DHEA hormone levels tend to be decreased with rheumatoid arthritis. Now, is it the decrease in testosterone that causes the rheumatoid arthritis, or does the rheumatoid cause the testosterone and DHEA depletion? It's unclear, but there's certainly an association there. Cortisol, again, that's our stress hormone. Cortisol levels are also associated with the pain perception. Specifically in this study, knee osteoarthritis. Now, osteoarthritis is what we typically think of the aging or the wear and tear type of arthritis, but as you can see, there's also a hormonal component. Now, thyroid hormone imbalances can be associated with both rheumatoid arthritis and osteoarthritis. And vitamin D certainly plays a role in arthritis, specifically the osteoarthritis. And vitamin D supplementation for those that are deficient in vitamin D can help alleviate the pain that is associated with osteoarthritis. Now, as always, whenever you're supplementing with vitamin D, I always recommend that you get it checked periodically because vitamin D can be toxic in high levels. It's very difficult to get there, but it is possible, so it's important to check. I think I've only seen that happen once where someone's vitamin D was way, way above the levels, and I had to tell them to stop taking vitamin D. It's very rare, but it's always good to get it checked regardless, whenever you're doing any sort of supplementation, but especially the iron or the vitamin D where it can be toxic. So we've talked about the pain symptoms that can be associated with hormone imbalances. Now let's talk about some other symptoms that are associated with hormone imbalances. These can include skin issues, skin changes, mood changes, weight problems, either difficulty gaining or losing weight or managing weight. There can be some memory problems that are associated, changes in your sex drive, of course, and digestive problems. All of these things can lead us towards a hormone imbalance diagnosis, if you will, for lack of a better word. And we talked about some of the nutritional imbalances that might cause hormone imbalances, but we also can have other causes of hormone imbalances, some things that we can control and other things we can't. Life stages, puberty, pregnancy, menopause, these are not necessarily things that we have a whole lot of control over. But again, through the diet and nutrition, we do have a little bit of control over the fluctuations that occur at these life stages. The age of an individual, well, we can't help that at all. As people age, their hormones change and they fluctuate. That's a normal part of aging, normal part of growing up, and we don't have a lot of control over that. Now, some medical conditions can cause or are at least associated with hormone problems like Graves' disease, diabetes, anorexia. There's injuries, believe it or not. Injuries can also cause fluctuations in a hormone imbalance, and these could be infections related. They can be from trauma, car accidents, surgical traumas, radiation therapy. Anything that causes blood loss can certainly shake up the balance of the hormones. And then there's the lifestyle factors. These are the ones that we typically have more control over, and those include chronic stress, our weight, and our diet. So our diet is one of the easiest things that we have control over that can make a big difference in the hormone imbalances. And we're going to talk about my top 3 favorite foods that help balance hormones. But before we get there, I want to give everyone just a basic rule of thumb when it comes to diet. You want to make sure that you're eating a variety of whole foods. Whole foods really are, when I talk about whole foods, it's the way nature intended. Okay, so the closest we can get to the natural state of our food, the better. And our food should contain all of the colors of the rainbow. And I'm not talking about Skittles, stay away from the Skittles, but our food, our natural food, we should have a very good variety of a lot of different colors, greens, pinks, yellows, oranges, whites, blacks, and all of these. The more variety you can get, the better. So now let's get into the top 3. We'll start with number 3. Tuna. Tuna is a fatty fish, and it is loaded with nutrients that you need for hormone regulation. Okay, one of those nutrients is selenium, which is really important. We talked about the selenium and how important it was for thyroid stimulating hormones and the T4 to T3 conversion. It's also a powerful antioxidant. magnesium is in tuna as well, which also helps with the T3, T4 conversion, but it also helps with cortisol balance. And it also helps with testosterone production, like we talked about before. Tuna is also a very good source of vitamin D, which is necessary for thyroid support and cortisol balance. And in addition, it's loaded with vitamin A, which is an important antioxidant. It's also good for nails and hair. Vitamin B3, which is important for cortisol production and energy. Vitamin B12, which is also good for energy, but it's also good for blood sugar metabolism. And tuna is loaded with omega-3s, which are anti-inflammatory in nature. And so tuna plays a really big role in the balancing of hormones. I would consider it a superfood. And so tuna is number 3. Well, number 2 is beef. Why beef? Well, beef is a good source of zinc, which we talked about before as being needed for testosterone production, but it's also loaded with B vitamins. And we're talking about the B vitamin complexes, okay? And the B vitamin complexes are needed for testosterone metabolism and for estrogen metabolism. It's also a good source of NAC. If you know what NAC is, it's N-acetylcysteine, which is useful for hormone detoxification. And there's a bunch of other reasons why we want to have beef, and that is because it's loaded with tyrosine, which helps with the TSH production. It's a good source of zinc, just like the tuna is, which is again good for T4, T3 conversion, for cortisol balance. There's chromium in beef, which is a trace mineral that helps with blood sugar metabolism. Vitamin B12, again, very important for blood sugar metabolism and energy production. And so one of my favorite parts of the beef, as far as the nutrients go, is the liver. And so beef liver is going to have high concentrations in all of this, but really any sort of beef product that's not processed. Okay, we want it as minimally processed as possible. And if we can get it grass-fed, that's even better. And so organic grass-fed beef would be my number 2 pick for the top 3 foods that balance hormones. And that takes us to number 1. My absolute number 1 pick for hormone balancing is broccoli. Broccoli has as a good source of vitamin C. We don't typically associate broccoli with vitamin C, but it does have a significant amount of vitamin C, which is a very important antioxidant. It helps with cortisol antioxidant. Broccoli actually has ALA. You may have heard a little bit about alpha lipoic acid, which is an important fatty acid. It improves insulin sensitivity. There's chromium in broccoli that we talked about, was also in beef, that's important for blood sugar metabolism. There's a good load of B vitamin complexes in broccoli as well, which helps with testosterone and estrogen imbalances. It has lignans in it, which lignans are they're an interesting molecule because they're phytoestrogens. And what phytoestrogens can do is reduce menopause symptoms, but it also has the added benefit of lowering the risk of heart disease, osteoporosis, and breast cancer. So again, broccoli is one of those superfoods. It's also got a chemical called sulforaphane, which is a good hormone detoxification agent. It's also got glutathione in it, which is an antioxidant. It's one of the most powerful antioxidants that there is. It also helps with hormone detox. And so broccoli really is one of those really powerful superfoods that should be part of anybody's diet. Now, there are a few people, of course, that may be sensitive to broccoli for some reason or another. But for most people, my number 1 pick for hormone balancing power is broccoli. So those are my top 3 picks. I also have a list of 10 top foods that are available to you as a gift. So make sure that if you signed up for this summit and you signed up especially for the VIP packages, make sure that you get that free gift from me. The organizers of this, the summit, Nino, will probably have that ready for you. But I do want to make sure that you have access to that, and as a free gift, a little extra for you. And One more quick tip for everybody. If there's absolutely nothing that you take away from today, make sure, or sorry, if there's only one thing that you take away from today, make sure it's this. Make sure that you're trying to eliminate all of the sugary drinks. Okay. There's so many different drinks that are contributory to hormone imbalances, to inflammation, and just overall poor health. And so stop drinking soda. And even worse, stop drinking diet soda. A lot of people think that if they drink diet soda, it will help them lose weight, but the studies show that diet soda actually is more likely to help you gain weight rather than lose it. So cut out diet soda. Make sure you're not putting any extra sugar in your drinks like your coffee. Sorry, drink your coffee black. That's the best way to drink your coffee. And even fruit juices, I would probably stay away from. If it's freshly squeezed and you're squeezing it at home, that's going to be less bad than what you can get at the store. But what we're doing when we're making fruit juice is we're keeping all of the sugar content and we're eliminating all of the fiber. If we don't have fiber, all of that sugar is going to spike our blood sugar. So if you want orange juice, the best way is to eat an orange. If you want apple juice, the best way is to eat an apple. Well, what do you do and what are you going to drink instead? Yeah, well, water. Water really is the most important thing that you can drink. Now, most of us don't like water because there's no flavor to it. It's not really fun to drink. But if you squeeze a lemon or squeeze a lime or maybe both, throw in a cucumber. I like to squeeze in some cherries. I like the cherry flavor in my water. If you do something like that, again, something natural, just to add a little bit of flavor to your water, that might help. But water really is the most important thing, especially if you're eliminating these sodas and these sugary drinks. You've got to replace it with something, and that should be water. Now, some people ask me about what about an herbal tea. I'm good with herbal tea as well. So again, make sure it's from the most natural source that you can get it. But herbal teas are okay. Also for the VIP members, here is the raffle item that I'm offering. This is Catalin. What is Catalin? It is a whole food supplement. Okay, I consider it a whole food multivitamin. This is something that I take on a daily basis. And what separates a whole food supplement from a multivitamin that you find at the store? Well, when you go to the store and find a multivitamin, you're going to see the list of all of the vitamins and minerals that it contains. So you're going to see vitamin C, vitamin D, magnesium, potassium, calcium, whatever else it has in there. And that's all you're getting. You're getting those isolated vitamins, those isolated minerals, which is okay, but that's not the way nature intended. The best way to get vitamins, in my opinion, is from the food that you eat. That should be the base. And so Catalin is made with carrots, sweet potatoes, alfalfa, liver, kidney, spleen, mushrooms. These are just a few of the ingredients in Catalin. And notice these are all foods. These are all things that we should be eating, but don't necessarily eat on a daily basis. And so in order to kind of supplement with that, that's what supplements are for. They're not to replace our diet, but they're to supplement our diet. The Standard Process Catalin is my choice. Standard Process is a company in Palmyra, Wisconsin. They own an organic farm, and a lot of the ingredients that are in their products are actually grown in that organic regenerative farm. And so it's a company, it's a family-owned company that demands the highest quality, and that's the company that I trust for all of my supplements. There are some other companies out there, but Standard Process is my go-to, and Catalin is just a wonderful product just to kind of get your general multivitamins in. And again, I take it on a daily basis. This is the raffle item that I am offering you. So if you're a VIP, make sure you're signed up for the raffle and get your chance to win this item. It is fantastic. So on behalf of myself and Simply Chiropractic and on behalf of Strive Life, I thank you for watching this. I hope that this has been valuable for you. If you want to connect with me further, my website is www.naturalpainreliefsolution.com. I'm also on Facebook. Just search Bradley Shepard DCCFMP. You should be able to find me. I'm looking forward to connecting. Feel free to contact me, reach out with any questions or concerns, and I'll be happy to engage with you further. And as promised, here is a list of the references that I used in the information that I shared with you. If you'd like, you can take a quick screenshot. Otherwise, you can feel free to contact me and I'll be able to send you a list of these references. There's one more page of references that I'm going to share with you. Here it is. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day, have a good rest of your week, good rest of your year, and look forward to hearing from you online. And thank you again so much for Strive Life and Nino and all of the folks that participated and helped bringing this project together. I'm very, very excited for it. So take care. Thank you again.